crowd rises to its feet. Vaccaro slammed it home. Garland left wing, free ball. Perfect! Garland in the lane, lobbed to Mobley. Pow! And Allen blocked the shot at the rim. Pow! With the left hand and a foul.
Welcome to the Chase Down Podcast, part of the Cavs media family. I'm your host, Jerome. The Chase Down is presented by Fubo, the official streaming partner of the Cavs. Watch over 350 channels of live sports and TV, including FanDuel Sports Network, without cable. There's no cost and no commitment. Try for free at FuboTV.com/Cavs. The Cleveland Cavaliers take Game 1 against the Miami Heat. The Heat found a way to stick around, make it a tight game at times. Couple runs, couple little pushes there, but the Cavs always managed to maintain a healthy distance between them. So much fun to see the Cavs take Game 1. Carter, how you doing?
They might have maintained a healthy distance, but I didn't maintain a healthy connection with my voice.
No, you truly didn't. And I'm not maintaining a healthy distance from you either. If I sound like hell in Game 2, it is 100% your fault. But the Cavs did their own part in almost making me sound like hell in this game. It was terrific to see them, find that groove, look like themselves offensively. An offensive rating of over 137 in their, debut of the 2025 playoffs. That was one of the big things that we wanted to see. You identified that 2 podcasts ago where you said, I want to see, a 118 type offensive output here. They kind of exceeded your expectations by about 20 points.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to see the offense not drop off. I wanted to see them get to run the kind of stuff that we've seen them run all year.
Yeah.
I wanted to see them look, to put it simply, like they were in control of the game. And at no point do I feel like Miami had control of the game. Even when they made their runs, I feel like at the end of the day, it was still very much a Cavaliers game.
Yeah, it really did. It felt like a Cavs game. They got to the spots they wanted to get to. And that was one thing that I noticed really early on. Miami wasn't coming up to the level when they were setting screens there. Darius had many opportunities to attack them in the drop. They really hunted Tyler Hero more than I even expected. And the interesting thing about the way that the Cavs did hunt Tyler Hero, it wasn't just guard-to-guard screens to, get the mismatch and attack them one-on-one. Sometimes that was the case. I think we did see a lot of guard-to-guard screening throughout the night, but also would flow into the pick and roll, right? You would generate that advantage, you generate the mismatches, get the switches you want, and then use that as a means to feed Jarrett, to feed Evan rolling to the basket, or even to find, cutters coming along the baseline.
They didn't really have to feed Evan and Jarrett, though. In fairness, Ty goes absolutely ballistic. We'll talk about him a lot. 28 points on 15 shots. Donovan puts up 30 on 19, and Darius puts up 27 on 17. At no point did the Heat sell out to stop the guards while they were attacking Tyler Hero, and the Cavs were more than happy to continue torching him.
Yeah, and Miami really didn't send a lot of help either. Once the Cavs were able to generate that advantage with Hero, I think Miami kind of recognizes, hey, we're going to have to play this pretty straight up. We do have the zone as an option here, but for the most part, we're going to have to play a lot of one-on-one defense. We're going to have to trust our guys because whether it's Jerome, whether that's Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, whether it's the bigs, Max Strus, everyone's able to make the right play and find someone when you create those advantages. So if you are having so much trouble containing the point of attack that you need to send help to bail out Tyler Hero and to blitz and to trap, the Cavs are going to hurt you a lot in those spots. And, I understand that that's the approach for Game 1. We'll see if Eric Spoelstra takes that same approach going into Game 2. We know that he is a master of adjustments, and he's going to be dissecting this game tape, particularly with 2 days off between these games. It'll be interesting to see if they go to the adjustments earlier than we expected, which typically Game 3 is that adjustment game.
Yeah, a 20-point loss will do that, though, where, I felt like, again, the Cavs really controlled this game. Even when Miami was keeping it close early, they were shooting over 50% from 3.
Yeah.
The Cavs weren't hitting well, and it just kind of felt like a matter of time before the dam broke.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think Miami had a lot of answers. And I think the meanest thing you could say about the game plan was that you didn't really feel Bam Adebayo's presence on the defensive end that much.
No, you didn't feel him on the defensive end. I thought he had a very strong offensive game. He generated the majority of Miami's second chance opportunities in this game. It felt like he had really nice timing for those missed shots. He definitely won that kind of one-on-one battle with Evan Mobley. Not that they were going at each other a whole lot, but he outplayed Mobley, I think it's fair to say. That's something I'm going to keep an eye on going into Game 2 is, do the Cavs find other ways to get Evan going? But like you said, there wasn't really a necessity to feed the bigs because of how well the guards were playing. And I really enjoyed that. It was almost like they took turns to some extent, where Donovan really kind of had it going early. I thought he did a terrific job of setting the tone. That man knows how to play to a crowd. He understands the importance of a moment, whether it was when he fought for the jump ball. Anytime he could, get those energy plays.
A little shiver to Duncan Robinson.
Right, and he plays to the crowd in all of those moments. And I thought he did a terrific job from a leadership standpoint. But then second and third quarters, I thought Darius had some of the most timely baskets. The playmaking was incredibly strong. Really, really, really good playoff game from him. And then Jerome decided to put the Miami Heat away, which he has done all season long. He has been terrific coming in off the bench. And fun fact for you, I saw this from Cavs Notes. This is the first time in Cleveland Cavaliers playoff history that 3 players have scored over 27 points in a game.
Really? That's pretty wild, They've
had some
great trios.
They really have. And to make that even more impressive, Donovan was the least efficient of the bunch, shooting almost 58%. Darius shot 59%, high up to 63%. That's an underrated thing that we probably didn't talk about enough in this series. I never want to go too negative in, playoff coverage, and particularly when we're talking about other teams, I like focusing on what teams do well and how the Cavs can counteract that. But there really aren't a lot of spots to hide Tyler Hero in this series, particularly when the Cavs are able to go to these 2 and 3 guard lineups, without being punished.
And also the fact that Miami really only has Bam means that you're able to run pick and roll with whoever isn't there, you know? And you're able to bring, Haywood Highsmith up to the action. And I just felt like they kind of just could push whatever button they wanted. And they were just able to, I don't know, it just didn't feel like Miami really ever made the Cavs do anything on that end of the floor. Yeah,
and I thought the same was true for Kel'el Ware. I thought that the Cavs did a lot of things to get him into the action and to generate advantages there. Did not have a big game. He just had that kind of one put-back dunk, which was impressive. Don't get me wrong. But I thought that whether it was Tyler Hero, whether it was Ware on the interior, I don't know how Miami ends up defending the Cavs. And that goes back to what we talked about pregame, which is if the Cavs are able to play their game, if they are able to generate offense the way that we've seen all season, can Miami keep up offensively? They had Miami had such a good shooting night. I know late game, garbage time, they jacked up some threes and brought that percentage down to 41%. But they were hovering around 50% pretty much the whole game while still trailing by nearly 10 points or more.
Yeah, it was a good shot variance game for Miami, which is like the worst thing you could say, Yeah. Hero hit a couple of ridiculous ones. Wiggins started the game with a couple of tough ones.
Davion Mitchell.
Absolutely. I think the number that actually might matter just as much is the 31 attempts. They weren't really able to get their half court going in any meaningful way on the offensive end either.
Yeah, they really struggled to keep up to the Cavs offensively. And, we talked about over the last month and a half of the season, there was a bit of a shooting slump with Ty Jerome, Darius Garland, and Donovan Mitchell. We saw Ty come back from some time off and look explosive again. He was hitting his shots. Towards the end of the season, as the Cavs actually got to stay home a little bit, we saw Darius have some good performances to close out the year. We saw Donovan have some good performances to close out the year. This week off did those guys as much good as we were hoping for. And, I think we talk about what the 3-guard configurations can do offensively and how they were able to generate offense so well. But I think a big part of why they are able to stick with those lineups and, really lean in on the offensive end of the floor is because of how well those guys were playing defensively. Darius Garland took those assignments against Tyler Hero and really performed well in those spots. Hero hit one incredibly tough three there, but Darius did a good job of staying straight up, forcing them into tough shots. He didn't reach in and foul. Donovan was diving for loose balls, playing hard defensively. Ty did a good job, and Sam Merrill as well. Sam didn't have a huge impact on the scoreboard, going 2 of 4 from 3, but he really played well defensively. I thought his footwork was terrific. I thought he did a good job of bodying up on Tyler Hero and some of those other guys on the perimeter. And really, he made it easy for Kenny to continue to trust him with more minutes throughout the game.
I think, if anything, there was a kind of a revelation of Miami is kind of short on players who play bully ball. Like, Hero isn't going to, go through your chest. Wiggins doesn't really want to do that. And then it's just Bam hitting tough jumpers. And if Donovan or Sam or Darius have a problem, it's when guys can kind of power through them. And it didn't really feel like Miami had the personnel to want to play that way.
And that's not something you can just do out of nowhere, right? You can't all of a sudden decide, I'm going to be that player that gets into the dirty areas and does the dirty work, right? You kind of have to always be geared towards that. That's not a switch that you can flip. And you know what? Sometimes I don't want to go into the dirty areas and do that extra work, which is why I rely on things like Zoom AI Companion, because only you can do your best work. Zoom AI Companion can help you do the rest, like automatically taking notes, answering meeting questions, and helping you respond to your coworker. Available at no additional cost with eligible paid plans. Work happy with Zoom AI Companion.
Justin, can we just talk more about Ty? I mean, what a debut for him in the playoffs. A proof of concept for his style of play for this team. And he really closed them out.
Yeah. Sometimes when you watch a player, for a full season, you get the vibe that this is someone that lives for these kinds of moments, but you don't know it until you see it. And, Ty Jerome absolutely lives for these kinds of moments. Going 10 of 15 from the field, he was terrific tonight. The confidence he plays with. And, some of those shots, you see it on TV, you understand, you see the metrics that say he has one of the toughest shot difficulties in the league. But some of these shots, watching them live, you just are like, wow, he doesn't have a lot of space to work with, but he's still getting that floater off and he's hitting it with consistency. He is never going to shy away from those open three-point opportunities. If you're playing drop against him, he is going to kill you. The confidence that he plays with, it's infectious. And when you have a three-headed monster, when you are able to keep Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell out there together and then sub in Ty Jerome, so you always have two dynamic guards out there, that's something special. And congratulations to him. He was named a finalist for Sixth Man of the Year. But in my opinion, it'd be a travesty if this guy doesn't win it. I don't think anybody has been better coming off the bench this season.
Yeah, what I keep going back to is he changes the flow of the Cavs. He is not a part of the machine. He is he's like an extra turbo mode for the machine, and just the confidence, the difficulty of the shots, the foul drawing, the physicality. At one point, he literally jumped on a Heat player and forced a turnover, which probably could have called that a foul, but whatever. Mm-hmm. It just felt like a total tie game.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain about a 50-50 call that went our way because there were plenty that didn't. I actually thought they did a really good job of keeping their composure in those moments. I think there were some of those that certainly felt as if they could have gone the other direction, but they didn't let any of that break them. I honestly thought they did a really good job of dictating terms here. I thought they brought the physicality to Miami, and that's not always the case. They won the offensive rebound battle. They won the turnover battle. And one of the things that you mentioned to me when we were watching the game is you really like how they were picking them up full court and at least
start the game right away.
Really to dictate terms, right? And that doesn't mean you're always going to play full court pressure, but if you're at least pressuring the inbound a little bit, it changes how comfortable they are bringing the ball up, right? You're just knocking them out of rhythm just a little bit, and I thought they did a really, really good job of dictating terms on both ends of the floor.
Well, Darius said it right off the rip, in his post-game interview. He felt like their physicality is what helped them win the game. And, a big thing about the playoffs is hitting first. Like, you're going to get hit. It's going to be tough, but like, you have to dictate the physicality battle. And like, I thought they did a great job of that. I mean, this is a team that played no full court press all year.
Yeah.
It's not an accident that they started game one of the playoffs doing that.
Yeah. And you know, we asked before the game, are there going to be little wrinkles that Kenny's been keeping in his back pocket? Is there little things that he's going to do in the postseason that we didn't see in the regular season? I think that's one of those things. But honestly, if we are going to have a discussion about the Cavs dictating terms, about, you know, the physicality that they played with, I think one guy that deserves a ton of credit is Jared Allen.
Yeah.
I thought he was making all of those 50-50 plays that you want to see. The way that he was hunting for offensive rebounds, he got 6 of them on the night. That play in transition where Bam had a breakaway dunk and he met him at the rim and blocked the hell out of him. Jared, I thought, really came to play. And this is just, again, another one of those reminders. I think people think about 2 years ago. They forget that this man averaged 17 and 14 last year against the Orlando Magic, but before, you know, suffering the broken rib and even playing, you know, through some pain there while he was playing. I thought Jared was absolutely terrific tonight, and I really, really felt his presence out there.
Yeah, I mean, he was phenomenal. 6 offensive rebounds, 3 steals, like a lot of like straw that broke the camel's back plays from him tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there really was. And I thought he had active hands too, where even, you know, he has 3 steals, but I feel like there were 2 or 3 other possessions where he got the hand in there, started to disrupt things. You know, it caused a little bit of hand fighting. Maybe Darius comes in and gets the steal ultimately, or someone else. I just thought the activity level was at a really, really high level. And I'm just going to be curious to see. We know that Miami's going to look at this. They're going to look for opportunities to make adjustments. I don't know what they can do to really change what the Cavs were doing with their guards. But if they start selling out and trying things and say, okay, maybe we're going to force the bigs to beat us, I'm really interested to see how quickly we adjust to take advantage of that. Because that, honestly, that feels like the counterpunch that's coming at some point this season, where Evan Mobley and Jared Allen are going to need to be the guys that are leading us in some scoring for portions of the game.
I just feel like if your solution to the Cavs is 2 on the ball, that's not a good solution.
Yeah. I just can't think of, you know, a whole lot of other options. And, you know, this is not to be disrespectful, but this is kind of the dynamic when you're talking about a 1 versus 8 playoff
1 versus
matchup.
10.
1 versus 10. You're right. You are correct to point that out. You know, I do still think Miami is going to put a scare in them at some point this series. I think that the Cavs can respond to that. What I saw tonight really confirmed a lot of what I was thinking heading into the series, which is that the Cavs are looking to make a statement. I saw Chris Fedor publish an article where the guys were talking about how they watched the OKC game earlier. They saw what they did, how they made a statement as the number 1 seed, and felt like they needed to go out and make a statement. I feel they did that. You know, they put Miami away in the 4th quarter. The one thing that I'm kind of keeping an eye on, and you know, we would like to see them clean up, is how they close quarters in this game. Often, you know, in the final minutes of the first, second, and third quarter, they got outscored by about 5 points there, you know, almost each time. You add another 15 points to the score, it's a laugher much, much earlier.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely stuff to clean up. You know, there were some times where they got over their skis on offense. They tried some really tight corridor passing, though they only had 7 turnovers, so not too much at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, and some of that is noisy, you know, like the first half ends with Hero hitting a ridiculous 3.
Yeah.
And, you know, they go on a little baby 6-0 run to make the game, you know, in contact.
Yeah.
But I was really glad to see, I don't think it ever got closer than 7 in the second half. There was, even with those little dips, there was a pretty sustained effort.
Yeah, and never felt like they got panicked. I think it might have come down to 6. You know, when Miami cut into it, it didn't feel like, oh, the next shot coming from the Cavs was something that was forced, right? It didn't feel like, you know, they're panicked and, oh, we need to get something up. We need to extend this lead. Felt like they were just still running their offense, playing with confidence, playing with composure. And I don't think that was always the case going back to the playoffs. I think that this team at times could have been rattled. and they didn't allow the situation to get the best of them.
Yeah, we haven't talked at all about the team's leading scorer in Donovan Mitchell, really. And I thought his composure was really, really strong. I felt like almost every shot attempt he took was the right kind of shot. He took like one pull-up three I didn't love when Evan had a mismatch and was posting. Other than that, I felt like his rim attacks were so on point. It's always a treasure watching him in person. The way he moves just is another level of special in the room. And I just thought he had complete command of the offense tonight.
Yeah, he really did. Only 2 of 9 from the three-point range. I agree with you. I thought most of them were all very good looks. Big part of when you're dealing with a scorer as good as Donovan Mitchell is you don't want him to ever, pull it back, right? I would rather him taking 1 or 2 shots that's maybe a little bit ambitious rather than being passive, because he's someone that can get hot in a hurry. And, discussing how the Cavs were able to get to the rim at will and how they were able to take advantage of Miami, I thought nobody did a better job of that than Donovan. Some of the layup finishes that he had were out of this world good. The body composure.
He had an MJ moment.
Not only did he have an MJ moment, he tied Michael Jordan for the most consecutive 30-point games to start a series with 7. So when the Cavs advance to the next round, which they will, trust me, I'm not going to shy away from that. We'll see if he can break MJ's record. I have full confidence that he is able to do that, and he'll once again have the opportunity to do that at home with the Cavs being the number 1 seed in the East. But I agree with you. I thought the composure, the leadership was all what you would expect from Donovan Mitchell, and that's really what we've seen all season long, right? It just feels like he has settled into exactly what the team needs him to do on and off the court. He is someone that has, learned from his experiences, learned from his mistakes, learned from the playoff series that didn't go his way. And it's just another level of maturity. Because I think back to game 1 against New York. That was his best scoring game of the series. But it didn't feel as connected. And maybe that was, the teammates not being ready for the moment in that game and him, putting the team on his shoulders. But just the way that he empowers everyone, the way that he gets everybody involved, there's just another level of maturity and basketball IQ that I think he's gotten his game to. And that's exactly what they need if they want to contend.
Yeah, I just feel like with Donovan, he's just kind of my poster child for, basketball is not about the bag. The bag is important, don't get me wrong, but, his growth as a player has almost nothing to do with the way he dribbles, shoots, passes. It's just his understanding of the game.
Yeah, that passing ability was always there, but the way he accesses it, the way, he finds guys, the vision, that's improved. And I think one of the most important things and one of the most impressive things about Donovan Mitchell, this is a guy that was drafted to a 50-win team. This is a guy that has had success every single individual season, and he has been really good in each of those seasons. It would be really easy for him to look back on some of those years and say, I did my part. I'm an efficient scorer. I'm one of the highest scoring playoff performers in the history of the NBA. Everyone else needs to get in line. They need to, support what I'm doing here. But that has never been the way that he approaches things. Donovan looks at every single game and looks to see what he can do better. He tries to improve his overall game. And I think his understanding that we are going to accomplish the goals that I want to accomplish if we are moving as a collective, if we are doing this as a team. And I think, you take a gamble when you go all in for a superstar, when you trade all those draft picks to bring in someone like Donovan Mitchell. They could not have envisioned this working out better than it has. He has been exactly what this team has needed.
Yeah, just a general proof of concept for this roster construction. So many great contributions up and down. Donovan obviously leading the way, but how about Darius Garland putting up 27 points, 5 assists, three rebounds, and we barely talk about it. 3 years ago, we would have been the first 20 minutes about Darius.
Yep. I mean, I'm always willing to go 20 minutes about Darius. I certainly could tonight. I really thought he played a terrific game. As I said, I thought he carried them a lot in that second and third quarter where he really set the tone. He hit really timely buckets. I was impressed by his defense. You know, I think you're right, where this is almost unremarkable because we have come to expect this. This is what we have seen from Darius throughout the season. And yeah, he had the run in March like so many others on this team, but he finished the season strong, and you know he's off to a strong start when it comes to the playoffs. And
by the way, I cannot believe he was not nominated for Clutch Player of the Year.
You know, when you have the most clutch wins out of any player in the NBA, when you do it more efficiently than any player, you shouldn't even be in the top three, right? Like that's how this works.
Absolutely, buddy. I do want to take it to kind of the other side of the coin. You know, most things went great in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Two things didn't go so well. You know, both DeAndre Hunter and Isaac Okoro
0 of 4
combined for an 0 of 8 day. Neither really imprinted themselves much on the game. Any concerns there with how they played?
You know, no big concerns because we understand that this is a one-game sample. Both of those guys go 0 for 4 in this game. Isaac, it looked a little more rushed. I thought DeAndre, a couple of those takes probably are would fall in the category of those 50-50 calls that I thought could have gone their way. Isaac, you know, he rushed the first three-point shot from the corner, hit the side of the backboard. There was one other that I thought was a good look, but some of the other ones, it just looked like he was forcing it. That's going to be something to keep an eye on because, you know, he has struggled with that three-point shot. I thought there were stretches where he was doing other things well. In the first quarter, he had that offensive rebound where he tracked that down from the three-point line, a couple hustle plays. I found it interesting that Eric Spoelstra would sub Tyler Hero out when Isaac was coming in. I don't know if that is, you know, correlation or causation, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. But the most interesting thing about that is Okoro struggles, DeAndre struggles, but both of them end up being basically 8th and 9th in the rotation. Kenny really only went 9 deep. Dean Wade only played 6 minutes, and I think 2 of that came in garbage time. He did exactly what he said he was going to do. He played the hot hands. DeAndre and Isaac struggle. We see Sam Merrill play more. Sam Merrill plays well on the defensive end. He continues to get opportunities out there and chances to make an impact on the offensive end. I expect Kenny to do that, but what I want to keep an eye on is, can the bench have a better performance? With the Ty Jerome was obviously terrific, and that's going to really boost those bench numbers. But Sam Merrill was the only other bench player to make a shot. He went 2 of 4. They're going to need more from DeAndre Hunter, from Sam Merrill, and obviously Isaac Okoro.
Conversely, I think it was easy not to need that much from them on a night where everyone else is doing an okay job on Hero. He's not going to go 7 for 18 every game of the series with Sam and Darius and Donovan switching on to him. There are going to be games where you need DeAndre and Isaac out there, and you need to play them more minutes just to get stops.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, but in DeAndre's case in particular, I want to see him earn more minutes out there because I think he's going to be so important to them, particularly later on in the playoffs. I thought it was interesting that Kenny went to DeAndre with the core 4 earlier in the game. I think they got some first half minutes together. Man, he needs to have more of an impact, right? And I understand what you're saying. They were more than capable of defending the Miami Heat as is, but he is a two-way scorer. He's someone that can really get going. And, if DeAndre Hunter joins the party here, you're going to feel really, really good. You're going to be in a great position to sweep. So for me, key takeaways going into game 2, can we get more balanced bench scoring where it's not just Ty Jerome having a heroic effort? And can Evan Mobley get going a little bit more? Because we're really going to need him later in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, like 50 plus of the Cavs' 88 shots were those 3 guards. I don't think Spo will let you, funnel so many attempts into 3 guys who are killing you again.
Well, We're going to see what happens in game 2. I'm excited about it. We will be previewing game 2. I think the only thing more tired than Tyler Hero right now is your voice. So we'll get you out of here. We appreciate everyone tuning in live on YouTube. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Click that notification bell so you know when we're going live. If you're listening via podcast and you want to support us, leave us a rating, leave a review, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and help cook those books. If you want to be part of Chasedown's exclusive Discord chat, send a screenshot of the review to chasedownpod@gmail.com. However you choose to support us, we really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys are staying safe out there. Until next time, go Cavs.